Honey. Honey.
What?
Are we supposed to film that thing for Opera on Tap Boston?
Oh yeah. Do you think I should go get changed?
No, I think you look good.
Hello. Welcome to Opera on Tap Boston's cocktail pairing with tonight's Met broadcast of Verdi's Don Carlo. And for tonight, I thought we could make a play on a traditional sangria by making it old-fashioned inspired. Now, the reason that I wanted to bring in that old-fashioned flavor profile to tonight's cocktail has to tie into tonight's plot, but we'll get to that later. So, if you are home and you have access to the following ingredients, then you're gonna have a fantastic sangria. And I'm gonna point out a couple of things that maybe you can substitute so that you can make do with what you have. So first off, what we need is to make sure that we have our fruit. So I've gone ahead and chopped up 3 oranges, and they're different kinds of oranges because I like the different flavors, into wedges, and we're just gonna pop those into our sangria pitcher. Once we've done that, we need to strain out about a pound's worth of cherries. So before tonight's video, what I went ahead and did was I cooked a 1/4 cup of sugar and a pound of cherries on the stove for about 15 minutes and then mashed them up. And we're going to just strain out the body of all of those cherries because you don't want to be chewing your sangria too much. It's nice that you get the boozy orange wedges, but chunks of cherry kind of make it feel like oatmeal. So then once we've gone ahead and put our strainer on top of the pitcher, if you have an old-fashioned potato masher, that usually does a really good job. So we're just going to strain our cherries into the pitcher, getting out as much of that wonderful plummy cherry flavor that we can. Now, since we're also adding a Spanish red tonight, we're gonna get notes of cherry in the wine as well, but I like to kick up the fruity flavor profile for sangria. So once you think you've gotten just about every last inch of juice from those cherries, you can go ahead and set your strainer aside and set your masher aside. And next we're gonna add a 1/4 cup of cold water into the concoction. We're going to add orange bitters. Now, these are actually a special homemade bitter gift from Michael Saker, and they are orange tangerine flavored. So you want to add as much as you enjoy that additional flavor. So for me, that's about 8 drops of bitters. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We're gonna need 2 more. 7, 8. After that comes a little bit of a combo of alcohol. So you can use Cuatro, but I have triple sec in the house. And since we're in social distancing time, I'm not gonna be too much of a snob about that orange flavored liqueur. And I'm just gonna go ahead and make do with what I have. It's okay if you pour right on over your concoction because a little extra of any of these isn't going to throw off your sangria all that much. Next, to really bring out the old-fashioned quality, I went ahead and made sure that I'm using a rye whiskey. I'm more of a rye drinker than a bourbon, and I think if you're doing a traditional old-fashioned in any capacity, that rye is the way to go. So I'm gonna go ahead and, like any good abuela will tell you, your whiskey addition is seasoned to taste. So if I taste this and think that it can hold a little more, I might come back later. After that, we're going to go ahead and add our ice. And ice is the second to last ingredient to go in before we go ahead and put in our Spanish red. Now, I think Riojas and Tempranillos make the absolute best sangrias. And especially when it's still a little bit chilly outside, I like to do a red sangria, but white sangrias are fun in the summer. So this recipe would work, and you can change up the wine that you use for the body of the cocktail. Next, we're going to just fill up all the remaining space with wine. One of the most fun parts of having all the fleshy fruit of the cherries is pulling out a couple of plump cherries and an orange wedge to decorate your glasses with. Because we have so many royal figures in our opera tonight, it's nice to make your glass look very fancy. And then after we've combined all the ingredients, you want to pop this in the fridge for an hour, let it chill, let it mix around, and then pour and top off with a little bit of club soda just to finish and give it that bubbly lightness. So for tonight's opera tonight, we're in store for a story of a lot of cross communication. We have the main characters, Elizabeth, Eboli, Carlos, and Philip. Now Philip is King Philip of Spain. He's King Philip II. His father was the Emperor Charles V, and his son is Carlos. Now here's the thing about the Spanish royal family. All of them are double cousins at some point. Think about what that means. Ew, gross. Now Elizabeth is a French princess, and she's betrothed to marry Carlos. But Carlos, being really young and like, who am I gonna marry, goes to France, visits with her in disguise, just to see who he's gonna marry, and then she ends up falling in love with him. So now that they're betrothed, yay, happy ever after, they're gonna get married, sit on the Spanish throne? No. Philip changes his mind, and instead of letting his son marry Elizabeth, he decides to marry Elizabeth to lock down that treaty with France. Now in the meantime, there's a whole bunch of side plots that have to do with the Flemish people being ruled by Spain and not being happy with the rule, and Carlos wanting to go in and take over rule, and his father says, no, I'm gonna keep ruling them. And in that conflict, we have Eboli, my absolute favorite mezzo character, who is most frequently portrayed with an eye patch because historically she actually did wear one. And one of my favorite productions from the Met is Tatiana Troyanis actually lifting her eye patch. And because she's such a consummate actress as well as amazing singer, what she reveals is this cross-eyed moment in her big aria, O Don Fatale, and it's fantastic. So if you want like a really juicy, fun highlight before you see tonight's premiere, look up Tatiana Troyanis, O Don Fatale, and you are in for a singing and an acting treat. Now, in the process, Eboli comes in, and she tricks Philip into thinking that his son is cheating with his wife, Elizabeth. This pisses him off. He throws his son in jail, and he's getting told by all of his confidants that he should kill his son to show how important it is to be true to the crown of Spain. But beyond that, Eboli reveals that she's actually been King Philip's mistress, and she feels badly now, and she's gonna do everything she can to make sure that Carlos gets out of jail safely. I don't wanna ruin the ending, but we get a little bit of a surprise visit from the grandfather in this whole lineage, and it's all set to a fantastic score. So before we say goodbye, what I'd love to do is give you a sneak peek of tonight's music. Alexa, play Don Carlo.
Shuffling songs by Don Carlos on Amazon Music.